Hello guys, and welcome back to the second game of tonight's stream. It is going to be the second game in this Best of 3 series between different dimensions and what is supposed to be WiLD. There we go. WiLD, CoolerMaster are on the left side. Yes, it is going to be the second game. My name is once again Benvarmeren and I am not casting with Bliss today as he is having a bit of connection issues. Hopefully the next group stage, which is going to be on Friday, I am hopefully going to be casting with him. However, we are in the pick and ban phase, so let's just jump straight into it. On the blue side for WiLD, they have banned out Lee, Kindred and Trundle. On the purple side, Rise, Azir, and now waiting for the third ban has been for them to come out. So WiLD had a Trundle in the last game. They could have decided to first pick that, but deciding not to do this in this game, are prioritizing Echo a bit more as Braum is the last ban. I can understand this. Echo is very strong. He did get a bit of nerfs here in patch 6.8, where his W and E base damage went down, but it scales better with ability power, which just makes him a better trader if you go for a bit of ability power. So your Iceborne Gauntlet is still going to be very strong if you decide to build that. So that is definitely something you can look out for. But different dimension, they go for Maokai and for Gragas, like in the last game, deciding to again fall onto those two picks. Something we didn't really see work in the last game. Maokai got bullied very early on, gave up the first blood, and Gragas were simply just never able to come in and have an impact in the game. Oh, I actually have a bit of trouble here as well. There we go. My overlay. I wasn't supposed to be casting today, so bear with me for having an overlay that aren't really functional. Anyways, here we go. So Lee Sin and Alistar being hovered over. I think those two would be some very good pickups now that Kindred aren't working anymore and Kindred is banned and Graves got nerfed here in patch 6.8. I think Lee Sin would be a good alternative to Graves, or you can just go for the least again. Simply, you don't have to fix anything that is not broken. You can also go for Janna. Something that Hungry Panda wanted to play in the last game, but didn't really have a successful game on, as he got picked out of position a lot. Was able to save his teammates a little bit, but not quite enough. But again, you don't have to fix anything that's not broken. You don't get Trundle in this game, but you get Echo. So, like in the last game, you can go for a bit more teamfight oriented composition for WiLD, depending on what they pick up as their next two picks, because they have option to go for that. At this point, they have a more pick oriented composition with some disengage coming from Janna as well. But for different dimensions, I wouldn't mind seeing Corki again. I actually think it can do fine if you get a good game for Lolivos, because in the last game Lolivos just had some bad luck and got dominated a lot early on. But I like this adaptation for different dimension that they just gone for, because they gone for a bit more pick oriented composition with Fresh and Lucian coming out. That means that with Gragas and Maokai, yes, you have a lot of peeling for Lucian, and depending on who your mid laner is, you can let them stay alive in team fights and still have the necessary pick to try and snowball the game like WiLD did in the last game, because that's something that different dimension might be looking at, trying to beat a WiLD at their own game. But WiLD also played with Sivir in the last game. Sivir is still a strong AD carry. Again, if you take a look at the picks that WiLD are going for, it's basically the same composition like in the last game. You don't have to fix anything that's not broken. I've said this is the third time I'm saying it, and I mean it. You don't have to. You can just try to do it again. It's a best of 3. You have 2 shots at closing out the series. And basically Vel'Koz is also a very safe pick into the mid lane. He is a mobile, however, so yes, you are open for flash body slams that can come out of Gragas. And that means that WiLD will have to play a little bit around the the mid lane for ADM, because ADM can't just quite go too aggressive, or he will be shut down a lot. But it is a fairly good matchup for him. Normally, you would say that a matchup for Vel'Koz could be Lissandra, where Lissandra would be shut down by Vel'Koz, but we probably won't see Lissandra because of that. However, I do think it could have been good. Now, Nunu would be the last pick, but it is going to be a placeholder, which means that it is not going to be a Nunu, and we will just have to remake the lobby very fast before we can actually get into the next game. So, as I was saying, you need to find something for different dimension to have some pick potential with, or if you want to shut down Vel'Koz, which you obviously want to do, because if you can shut down Vel'Koz, then you have your the star player, let's just call it that, from the last game shut down, which would mean that there wouldn't be a lot to play around with for WiLD, because yes, it is your star player, but you just have to be a little bit more safe with him. Vel'Koz, as I said, is a fairly safe pick, but is immobile, so can get punished in that way. But as we are in waiting to get the pick and ban phase started, we are actually going to get it on the way as well. Now I will change back to the pick and ban phase overlay. There we go. So, as I was saying, we are now going to be remaking it. We will see who will be the mid laner for Lolibus, as it is not going to be, or actually thinking about it, it could also be an AD carry, because Corgi is a flex pick. So it might as well just be an AD carry coming out for Miracolo, yes. So we will see Lissandra, and a lot of people will say that Lissandra is a bad matchup into Vel'Koz, which is obviously true, because your glacial path can get interrupted by and predicted by Vel'Koz's knockup. But in this composition, I like it, because you want to go for more pick. That's basically the win condition for different dimension. Going for pick potential, and Lissandra obviously helps with that with her frozen tomb. So once you reach level 6, you can go for these flash body slams for LNG, and then that'll allow Lolibus to come in with his glacial path. His frozen claw, and then use his. Actually, I just confused myself with the names. Anyways, it allowed Lolibus to come in and use his glacial tomb to lock down ADM, and then in that way punish that Vel'Koz pick by not having a lot of mobility. However, we are in the pick and ban, in the 3-minute delay, so I will take a short break. When I return, we will have this third game of this best of 3 series between WiLD, CoolerMaster, that's their name, and Different Dimension on the way. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome in game. Now we are ready with the second game, and what could potentially also be the last game of today, as WiLD is on the brink of maybe taking this best of 3 series into their own hands. Let me just fix my overlay very fast, and we'll get right on. Awesome. Now we can go. So, as I was saying, WiLD CoolerMaster, they are one up against different dimension, and we are only in the best of 3 series, so they can shut this game down here and just go home with an early 2-0 victory against different dimension. Miracolo is hanging a little bit around, has been spotted by a ward, is waiting to go in. Just a quick little ward going down, and the game is over. 10 goal lead over to WiLD. GG. Anyways, jokes aside, so we are into this game, and as I was saying, ADM is against Alessandra with a double teleport. So the double teleport from Lollyros will allow Lollyros to really make a lot of plays around the map, but Lollyros can't do a lot to ADM on his own, just because ADM is going to have a cleanse A, and his knock-up is going to be disrupting the glacial path from Lollyros. So that means that the Vel'Koz pick is going to be okay, I'd say, because you still have to be wary of LNG with that Gragas that can body slam, which is something you really have to take care of. Now Hungry Panda is looking for hook, lands it onto Hextasy, and Hextasy is taking a lot of damage from Miracolo and Hungry Panda. I like what they're doing. In the last game, they weren't quite able to do too much. They didn't have that kill pressure. They had the bully pressure, but they didn't have the kill pressure, and now they are doing so. But we might see some junglers meeting up in the jungle, as both LNG and Funsky were battling a bit about the Scuttle Crab. Will go over to Funsky, however, so will not be too unhappy about that. Now another hook onto Hextasy, and Hextasy is actually going to be ignited. Hungry Panda is hungry for this kill, but will not be able to get it. Miracolo taking a lot of damage as well, and Higher Mate is looking for the kill. Will not be able to find it, as the heal will be used by Miracolo, but it's very close. And now for the side of Funsky might be caught out, will repel. Hextasy coming in is not going to be doing too much, but here comes the ricochets and the bouncing blades from the side of I'm, and they will be able to get away now. ADM is in a lot of trouble, has to flash away as Hungry Panda is flashing in the flank, but it's taking a lot of damage and putting a lot of damage back as well. A good skirmish right there from both teams. A lot of flashes being burned as well. And now the Skull Crab might go over to LNG Miracolo, also getting his back interrupted, but Hextasy might go down here, has no flash, and Funsky is not going to be able to save in first blood, going over to Miracolo. Very good for Different Dimension. They need to get a small boost here in the early game, or they will be in a lot of trouble, because they need to get something going for them in the early game. In the last game, they just got, I guess we can say, is stomped in the early game, because they basically didn't have anything rolling for them. Only the bottom lane were doing fine, and that's just because they got a CS advantage. And if you only get a CS advantage, then it doesn't help you with closing out games or snowballing too much. So it's good for them to get the first blood onto Miracolo, especially Miracolo, because he has shown to be a bit of the carry on the side of Different Dimension. But still, it's only one kill and the game is still more or less even, only 700 gold separating the two teams, so there is still a lot to look out for. Lollos used his teleport in the mid lane, so that is not going to be there. It takes away a little bit of the pressure that could come out here. The game of pressure is going to be a little bit disappeared in the mid lane. And we won't have a potential 5-man in the bottom lane, perhaps. That's not going to be soon to come with that teleport not being there. And obviously Lollos don't want to make any plays before he gets his level 6 either, so we have to wait for that. So we're seeing Vasir go for that standard, more or less these days, a standard tank echo build, and he, as I said, he did get a bit of his damage nerfed here in patch 6.8, but that's only his base stats, and it doesn't take away all of the strengths of the tank echo, basically, because he's still going to be dealing damage, and it's not his W and his E which is strong, it's the third stack of his auto attacks which is so strong, and that is what you have to really be nerfing. But here comes Tennessee. Actually, sorry, it's Funsky that is coming. Tennessee is just taking a lot of damage, and Vasir and Funsky will not be able to pick up any kill there, but Tennessee is forced to flash away. And now Gragas is coming in from behind. ADM is in a lot of trouble, has no cleanse. ADM taking a lot of damage. Cleanse just about to come up. Very well played by Lolliros and LNG, knowing when that cleanse would come out. Not too bad for them, and they pick up one kill over to the side of LNG. So good for them to get something rolling for them as well, because we did see that ADM were the carry on that Vel'Koz pick in the last game, so good for them to know that and recognize that they need to stop that carry, stop that potential. Now pause will come out, so I'll be right back. I need to actually go grab a shirt because I am freezing a little bit. Okay, so I am back, and now if you take a look at the items for one higher mate, he has been bullied a lot in the bottom lane, so he has not quite been able to finish up his BF sword as Miracolo has been able to do. So only 2 longswords coming out, and a call also being completed by higher mate. So a lot of well, I guess we can say a lot of sustain with the biscuits as well coming out. And there will be a small gold amount coming out soon as well for Higher Mate if he can just complete his goal, which is 100 CS, which is sometimes quite a lot depending on your situation. Anyways, play will resume, and we can see that Tennessee is taking a lot of damage. So he's been forced to go back, but he has his teleport, so it doesn't matter too much. Anyways, he will be able to go back. Actually, will get interrupted by a AQ coming out from Vasir, which is called his Time Winder. There we go. Good. So Time Winder will come out, and he's again looking to interrupt Tennessee here. Really smart play by Vasir, knowing that he has to stop Tennessee from going back, and if he does so, making sure that he's going to be losing some CS. Now teleport will be used, so basically let me rephrase that I just said. He forces Tennessee to lose CS or to lose a teleport, both being fine for WiLD. They don't mind either, but to be honest, I don't really mind what WiLD is doing, because I think they have the better late game scaling team composition. Again, a pause coming out, but as I was saying, a better late game skill team composition. Their frontliners won't be as good as Maokai and Gragas, but if they can play around those two and still play to a bit of a pick composition that they have gone for, then I feel like their overall damage output will be so much higher. And going in onto someone like Miracolo or Lolivos, taking them out of the game, it's not going to be too hard, and will definitely be the way to go for them. But talking about late game compositions, Different Dimension, they don't have a bad late game composition either. They have that front line I just talked about. It's just that WiLD, they have so much better damage output, and it's all depending on Vasir if he's able to go in and use his let me check, his chrono break to go back into time whenever he's close to dying, but using that to dive Miracolo, keeping him away, keeping him out of the fights. That is definitely, that is more or less what you have to be looking for. But the game will resume, and I'm glad to see that resume, because I think we're having a really interesting game at this point. A lot of interesting things happening, because WiLD aren't quite playing like they did in the last game. They're not as aggressive anymore. They're not making that many plays, and a part of that problem is Funskai. Actually, LLNG is about to come in. ADM is in a lot of trouble. Will use both his classes, and the flash teleport also coming out from the side of Vasir. But now LLNG is in a lot of trouble. Might go down. Oh, will go down to ADM. Very well played by ADM, picking up a kill after getting tanked, and even getting a flash out of it as well. So good for him. Now Funskai is looking for a kill onto Hungry Panda. Hungry Panda might get it by Cocoon here, has to flash away. Good enough. But as I was saying, a part of WiLD not playing that aggressive has been Funskai not really being able to find the right engages, and he's finally been able to find them. At least one of them. So actually, oh sorry, no, never mind. He's been not able to play aggressive, which is something he's finally been able to do. So he just forced Hungry Panda to use his flash, which is aggressiveness on the hunt being popped by Higher Mate to get all of his team members out of there. So saving his team members there. Now Hungry Panda is going to be caught, is about to go down, has no flash, and here comes Gragas from the side. Is not going to be able to help Hungry Panda at all. And Funsky is finally able to make a bit of plays around the map, which I was basically just waiting for. You have to make some plays with Elise. She is your early game jungler, so why not go for these plays. Now a blue buff will go over to Lullabos, and he is developing a small CS lead. Not too big, again, different dimension. It feels like they're not really capitalizing on their leads, because they could have gotten a way bigger lead out of this game with them getting the first blood. They didn't play around Miracolo. They simply didn't do so. They tried to play around Lullabos, and that was fine. I talked about in the Pick a Man phase how I think that the Sandra would be a good pickup in this composition, because it will allow you to do flash body slams and then use your frozen tomb. But they simply didn't play around enough. They didn't force it enough. They did it like one time where that it actually was successful. Did it 2 times overall or something like that. So you didn't get anything out of that pick basically. So you could have played around Lucian. You had Fresh there. There was playmaking potential in the bottom lane. No, it's not that bad. And now ADM is in a lot of trouble. No cleanses there to be played around with. ADM will go down to LNG, but Vasir is all alone and cannot do anything against this Lissandra and Gragas. Now here comes Higher Mate with Funsky, and they are going on to Miracolo. Miracolo taking a lot of damage, is about to go down, will actually go down. Oh, a double kill onto Funsky. Very well played, knowing that that tower was about to go down. Now Lawless is in a lot of trouble, will go down to Vasir. I am sure he's taking from the Sunfire, will go down in the end. And now for WiLD, they are finally pumping up the gas. They are taking control over the car like in the last game, despite giving up 3 kills here in the early game. Something they didn't do in the last game. They have taken control, and they do not care at all. As long as they are playing this way, they can play aggressive. Oh, Vasir is carrying on to Tennessee, but LNG is here in the top side, but he's actually very low. So Vasir might be able to play around this, as he has both his chrono break and everything available. You cannot quite go for this, I think so. He might get a kill onto Tennessee. Why not? He might outplay both of them. He's putting down a lot of damage onto LNG. You can go here. Here comes ADM. This might be a double kill. Oh, a kill onto ADM. Vasir not wanting to go any further. And a good roam coming out of ADM. But in the end, it is going to be the credit going over to Vasir for starting that fight. But I like what they were doing with sending a Higher Mate into the mid lane to have a bit of pressure there, and now they will get that tower in the top lane. So different dimension. They built a pick composition, but simply weren't able to play around it. They're the ones getting picked, like Hungry Panda and Lullabos right now. Hungry Panda is in a lot of trouble. Might go down to Funsky, who is just hunting him, but now his Funsky is in a lot of trouble. Oh, Hexasy is there, not wanting to use the monsoon. Oh, Hungry Panda goes down to the ricochet, sorry, the boomerang blade from Higher Mate. So good by Higher Mate, just to pick up another kill. But then Funsky overextending his limits a little bit, but different dimension. As I was saying, they haven't played to their win condition of picking people out of position. They simply weren't able to do so here in the early game, and this is basically cost them the lead that they could have gotten in the early game. Oh, Lolo was taking a lot of damage. This going to go down to Higher Mate, as he will flash in, and now Miracolo is in a bad position. A double kill going over to Higher Mate. WiLD is simply just finding picks left, right, and center, and they are in the driving seats. Basically, they are the early bird that catches the worm. Because they didn't have a true pick composition that only relied on picking people out of position. but they have made it work that way. Oh, Higher Mate isn't maybe in trouble. Teleport will come in. Oh, a lot of CC being used onto Higher Mate. Here comes the side of Lolliros, and he's putting down a lot of damage. Oh, also Hexasy will go down, and ADM is not able to save them, not being able to really utilize his life ray integration, life form integration ray. Sorry, and now Vasir is coming in with him rolling down. Tennessee might go down, but actually the Lantern will save him. Vasir is not quite done yet. Is still looking for a kill. And Lolliros might go down to Elise. Yes, Hungry Panda will also go down to Vasir. So good for them. They're getting kills really everywhere. Now they might also be able to pick away this blue buff. That could be so good for them. LNG, you don't want to be here at all. You want to be running away, because here comes Vasir, and you have to respect Vasir, because Vasir is just too strong. I talked about how an Echo, despite him going tanky, is still going to be packing a lot of damage. That is basically what we're seeing from Vasir at this point, and it is not because his W and E got nerfed at all. It's because his third stack of his auto attacks is just so strong. So you cannot really play around that, because he's so tanky. He'll never get away from you. He also gets movement speed when he gets the third stack of his auto attack. So you cannot really play around that, and you need you just need to run away from him. You can't even do that. And now Hungry Panda again is about to get caught up position. His hook will get spell shielded, and I think Hungry Panda might be tilting a little bit in this game, because he's getting picked out left, right, and center, and you don't want to be doing that as a fresh. You want to be the one picking. This is basically just neutralizing your point in the your situation in the game as a fresh, where you want to be picking people out of position. Lolliros will be taking a lot of damage, but so will ADM, and ADM has to use his cleanse to get away from both Tennessee and LLNG. Lolliros going back in, is regaining health with his ultimate, but will go down in the end to Funskai, but allows Tennessee to come away with his life intact. But here comes LNG again. You have to be careful. Higher Mate is putting down so much damage, and here comes Vasirian from the side, landing a two-person stun. So efficient for him to do that. They pick up 2 kills, and he's not done yet. He's going on to Miracolo, but he has the Chrono Break and will be able to go back in time. And now WiLD, they are knocking on to the base of different dimension. This game has really turned into the favor of WiLD so fast. They are the ones picking up an inhibitor tower at 19 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. They are on the brink of snowballing this game to a 10,000 goal lead. This is so dominating from WiLD. It's even more dominating than in the last game. So for different dimension, I said this in the last game as well. You have to be looking at wave clearing. Basically, you have no other win condition in your life at this point. Basically, because your win condition were supposed to be picking people out of position. That was what you built your team composition for, and you haven't been able to do so. Now, you might get the first dragon, but how many people will you lose as Lolliros is going and use the Frozen Tomb on himself? Now, Hexasy is in a lot of trouble. Oh, the life form disintegration ray is going to be picking up a lot of kills. Actually, just putting down a lot of damage, but the triple kill. 3 kills. Sorry, so much happening. Is going to go down. Now, Hungry Panda is in a lot of trouble, and he is going to go down. But this is just going to be an execute, because Funsk will not be able to pick up a kill, but an inhibitor will go down. 4 members for 1 dragon. Excellent trade coming out for WiLD, and they might even be able to pick up another inhibitor in the bottom lane. Over 10k gold is going to be in the lead for WiLD at this point into the game, only 21 minutes, they are knocking on the second inhibitor as well. Everybody has just respawned, but they want to get the second inhibitor. They are snowballing this game out of control. And what can Different Dimension do? Like in the last game, if you can't wave clear, there's basically nothing you can do at this point, because team fighting is also something that WiLD can do at this point, because they didn't go for a complete pick composition. They have the potential to dive with that tanky Echo that can just go back in time with his chrono break. Diving is not going to be hard at all, and I'd like to see them start to dive, because they played very passively in the last game. They haven't done so now because they break open the base even faster, but they can definitely look at playing more aggressive at this point, because it simply would just allow them to close this game out faster. Because in the last game we did see it stall for so long, and it gave Different Dimension a chance at getting back into the game, just because of Miracolos and Lolivos getting so strong very late into the game. So for a while they just had to keep pushing the limits at this point, and it shouldn't be a problem for them. Echo is an excellent diver, and you have a lot of follow-up with On the Hunt and a Cocoon, etc, etc. So diving is not going to be a problem. Pushing your limits is not going to be a problem either. And I like that Vasir is hanging around with his team, because he doesn't have a Sheen and he doesn't have a teleport either, so it wouldn't be beneficial for him to go to the bottom lane in any way. So it's smart of them to go there. Yeah, they just have to look for fights. Basically, they are so far ahead. It's over 10,000 gold lead at this point, so just look for fights. And look at Tennessee. He knows that he has to look for fight. They are that far behind that they have to look for a fight, and the fight is breaking out. Chrono Break being used. Lolivos going in, using the Frozen Tomb onto himself, but doesn't help at all. Everybody is so low. Higher Mate is on a rampage, picking up the kill onto Lolivos. Funske is now unstoppable, picking up the kill onto Hungry Panda. And this might be game, as the the second inhibitor is about to spawn. Superman is running into the base. WiLD, Higher Mate is in a lot of trouble. LLNG will go down. Tennessee's now in the trouble alone. And this game looks to be over. Little Strokes, they fell Great Oaks, and this Great Oak of Different Dimension is about to go down to the big strokes coming out of WiLD, ending this game in a very fashionable manner with over 10k gold lead. They are looking to pick up the Nexus, and LNG has just left the game. So yes, this is going to be the game won by by WiLD. Very well played by them. They managed to pick up over 1,000 gold lead, just snowballing the game very fast, and they learned from their mistakes in the last game, where they weren't able to close the game out fast enough and ended up stalling the game for so long. But well, that is it for today. Congratulations to the winners on winning this best of 3 in the first group stage. Thanks very much to Bliss, who were supposed to be joining me today. Hopefully he will be joining me on Friday and on the next Sunday as well. But thank him so much for hosting me and supporting me through this very hard solo cast. And remember, guys, that I shoutcast weekly on this stream, so make sure you drop a follow so you can get all of the action here. And if you guys would like to hear me to hear more from myself, then make sure you check out my Twitter links or my Facebook, which you can find in the Twitch chat in a few moments. So that's it from me. I thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next broadcast with Bliss. So again, thank you all for watching, and have a good one. Remember, spread the love.